Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we will be discussing about Terraform. What is Terraform? Terraform is an infrastructure as a code tool. Why do we need that? Let's consider a scenario where you wanted to create a virtual machine in Azure. You can go to the Azure portal and create a virtual machine. How about creating a virtual machine in 5 different environments? You can again use the Azure portal to create the virtual machines. How about an application that has hundreds of resources that needs to be deployed and managed across the environment? Then it will become a challenge, and that is when you need a tool like Terraform. So in Terraform, you can convert your specification into a Terraform code, and the code can be deployed across the environment. So how does it work? So first you need to authenticate. So the Terraform can talk to the underneath API. So in this case, Terraform will talk to Azure RM API. Azure RM API will take the request and process it on behalf of Terraform, and it will respond back to Terraform. Terraform will know how to read this result, and the Terraform will store this result in a state file. What is state file? State file is where the state of a particular resource it's kept. So what are all the top 5 commands that you would be using? So Terraform init to initialize the Terraform working directory, Terraform plan to know what are the changes needs to be done. Terraform apply, it's when like you will be actually applying your changes. Terraform destroy, when you are done with your changes and you wanted to destroy all the resources provisioned as a part of this implementation, you wanted to destroy, then you can use a destroy command. Terraform format, it's to format your configuration file for readability. So let's create a sample here. So in 1.0, I'm going to create a resource group. So let's first get start with the provider.tf file. So in order to execute Terraform, you need to have two different sections, at least two different sections. So the Terraform section and the provider section. So Terraform section, it's where you will be specifying your executable details. So in this case, let me go to the my terminal and type Terraform version. It is telling me that I have 1.8.5. So I say I need to use 1.8.5 in order to execute the Terraform script. And the provider, it's kind of a plugin. You are telling Terraform that in order to execute this script, you need these many providers or these many plugins. So in this case, I'm using Azure RM, and the version it's 4.0.1. At the time of recording, this is the latest version. So the Terraform provider will take additional configuration. So in this case, I'm just providing two, but it can take more parameters if there is a need. Tenant ID and the subscription. If you see here, it says var. What is var? Var, it's a variable. So you need to define your variables in a variables.tf file. So I say my tenant ID and subscription ID, and I'm taking the resource group name, resource group location. So this is just a definition. How do I pass the value? You can pass the value just like this. Do we do it in the production? No, this is just for a demo purposes. So I say like tenant ID is this, subscription it's this, and the RG or name of the RG location. And then like in the main file, you will call the resources. So in my case, as I wanted to create a resource group, I say Azure RM, which is the provider, and this is the resource that I wanted to create. Give it meaningful name. In my case, as this is a demo, I just kept a simple name here. However, I would recommend keeping a proper name using which you should be able to identify your resource. So this particular resource, Terraform resource, will take name and location, which I am passing it. As you see here, like I have defined those variables and the values are hard coded here, which will be passed to the main file. And the output.tf, it's where you can define what are all the output that you wanted to print in the Terraform it's done executing. So now how do I execute? So now let's go to, let's say, Terraform, and the child directory. I'm at a parent directory, Terraform directory. So you have to specify which directory you are targeting to. So in my case, it would be like a 1.0.resource group. Let's call it as the init. So what does init do? It will create the log file under the uh, required Terraform providers. And then like you can do plan. So the plan will print. So as you see here, the plan, it's telling us that there is one particular resource that needs to be added. So if you read it carefully, here it says that plus to create, right? So this says that plus means to create. So here I see plus. So with all these value, we are going to create. So now as you see here, it is printing the output as we have the outputs.tf file. Now time to apply. Let's apply. It is the same. It is telling us the same information as we uh, did the planning. So why do we need to do a planning before we apply? So that's how we will know what are all the changes are expected, right? So you can also apply and say no here, but that is not a standard practice that we follow. Apply also will make a first call to plan, and it will print us the details before it actually applies. But again, that is not a best practice that we follow. So now let's go here. Now let's refresh it. Now I see the sample resource got created, and that's how you create your Terraform script and execute. Now if you go to the state file, here where you will see the details. So here it says that resources, underneath it says that there is one particular resource called a resource, like type resource group, name is this, and this is the resource group name. So this is what captured in the state file. So basically, like from the state file, you can say that this particular execution has only one particular resource group, and the status of that it's provisioned, right? So now let's move forward. Let me close all of this. Now let's go to the resource group one more time. So this time around, let's arrange a little bit uh, in a way like we can repurpose the code, right? So let's assume that I wanted to create multiple resource group. So what I can do is that I can create a module folder called a module. Underneath I can create one more folder called a resource group. Here where I moved all my code. If you compare the previous code with this code, it is exactly the same thing. It is just, I just moved the files to a different folder. So now if you see here, it is exactly the same. Nothing has changed. But this is created under modules resource group. Now in my mail file, so instead of calling resource Azure, instead of calling, like let me compare with the previous main file here. So if you see here, it says resources, resource and the type of a resource. However, the updated implementation, this implementation, the updated one, it's actually calling the module. So module, it is giving the name to the particular module, and the source. So source, if you say like it is under modules resource group, it is under module resource group, and this module takes two variable. So if you just go back to here variables, there are two variables, and it prints all these three values. Again, you will be keeping your provider intact. There is no change in the uh, provider's file, no changes in the main variable file, no changes in the tfvar. So the only change that we have done, instead of creating the resource group directly in the main file, we created a module here is called a resource group. So now let's say I wanted to create two resource group, right? Let me call it as resource group 1 and resource group 2. Okay. Name will be, I just hard code for a demo purposes, right? So RG2, and here I call it as RG1. Okay, fine. So now let me apply it. Now I need to do 1.1 as usual init and plan. So now as you see here, the benefit is that you can you can create the modules and move your code and pass the values so that you don't have to repeat your code again and again, right? So now I can create two different resource group. Let me update. So it is telling me that there will be two resource groups created. So in a moment it will be done. So let's go back and check. Let me refresh it. I think this is still okay. So this is done now. Let's refresh. So RG1 and RG2 both are created. Okay. And that's how we use modules. So in the upcoming video, we will discuss about service principle. So as of now, I'm using my account to execute Terra. However, you won't be able to use your personal account in the enterprise environment. So you need to use service principle, and that's what we are going to see next. Stay tuned. We'll talk to you in the next video. Thank you.